So let's get started today. Our presenters today are Alan Hinchman and Greg Hazel of GrayMatter, and Jimmy Felice and Tim Ogden of GE Digital. After Alan kicks us off, Jimmy and Tim will give you a glimpse into GE Digital's vision and partnership plan for 2022. And Greg is going to spend the majority of our time demoing some of the new functionality of iFIX 2022. So you'll definitely want to stick around to check that out. I know not everyone in the audience today is a system integrator, but I really do think that you'll find today's presentations useful, whether you're an SI, whether you work with SIs, or whether you're just interested in learning about the new functionalities in iFIX. So with that, okay, Alan, you're up, and welcome to emPOWERUP Live. Alan, take it away.
Thanks so much, Jeremy, and I'm going to keep it very brief because today has to be one of my favorite days. We've got a couple of great friends and good speakers on. So the first is Tim Ogden. If you're not familiar with who that is, he is now running the new GE System Integrator Partner Consultant portal and all the programs around that. And he's going to talk about some of the new things that he's been working on. And then my friend of about 20 years now, Jimmy Felice, is going to be speaking about some of the roadmap things. And I don't know if a lot of folks know this, but with the new unified launch that GE does, we have got an incredible amount of products that are coming out from Simplicity 22 to iFIX 22 to a lot of new historian stuff. So this year is going to be a jam-packed just collection of these Zoom calls to just go through. Here's a roadmap after roadmap after roadmap. And I think you're going to find there's a lot of exciting things that are going to enable you as a system integrator or a consultant to make more money with GE. And then the other person that's on the phone is Greg Hazel, who is our supreme commander of all things technical. And he'll be talking a little bit about that too. So I say we jump right into it. I think, Jimmy, you're going first, so I'll be quiet. And
all right.
Or my friend.
Sure. Let me just share the screen here real quick.
Sounds good.
Let me know that you guys can see it, hopefully.
Yep. It looks good, Jimmy.
Is that showing through okay? I just want to make sure.
Yes, it is. Yep, it is.
I just want to confirm, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Jimmy, and we can see your slides.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Connection might be cutting out there.
Apologies for the technical. I'm not sure what's going on. I can start talking. It sounds like you guys might be able to hear me.
We can.
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. Yeah, something's bizarre is happening on this share. Sorry, guys. So yeah, thanks, Alan. Jimmy Felice. I'm the product management leader for our automation group, and what I wanted to do today was go through our a little bit of an update on kind of where we're at with some of our automation products. And I'll start off by just doing a quick overview. I'm also joined by Alec, who is our product manager for iFIX, who's going to go into a little bit more detail on that part of it as well. So if you guys have any questions, I'm assuming the best place is probably the chat, but the other thing I'll note is that Greg will be covering some of the items in a bit more detail at the end. So just sort of starting off a little bit of housekeeping, I wanted to make sure, we are going to show a little bit of futures in our presentation. So just wanted to make sure everyone's aware that when we do talk about some future technology and things like that, it is subject to change. Just this week, actually, we're just releasing our Prophecy 2022 portfolio. And really what this is made up of is our suite of automation and manufacturing products in a single release. So as you can see highlighted, the ones in yellow are our latest releases of the automation products, including Operations Hub, Historian, Simplicity, and iFIX. So you'll hopefully have seen some of the other webinars we've had. If not, there'll be we'll definitely be doing some more updates as well on that in detail. If I start looking at just sort of what's driving our strategy, one of our big goals for our automation business is really to start looking at, how we can help our partners and customers really help around a few key themes. One of them is around central management. And the concept here is really around how can we help you guys as you develop systems, deploy systems, and maintain systems, provide you with the tools that's going to make that a lot easier for you. And ultimately with the goal of saving time and effort in that process. It's also about the connected worker, and that's really about, how do we make sure we help you guys get the operator or whatever role it happens to be, the right information to do their job. And, ultimately, as we kind of move forward, also looking at distributed and enterprise SCADA. So we know that some people are just a single SCADA. Others are going to have multiple SCADAs that are either going to be in a large architecture or distributed out. So again, these are just some of the things that we look at as we develop our products and strategy. Just some of the other high-level themes, and hopefully you'll see that with some of the new things that we're going to talk about today. We're focused on kind of 4 key elements. One of them is around how do we really help reduce the time it takes to build out our systems. So that's inclusive of the HMI as well as the SCADA. So, how do we help you guys build faster? How do we really help build the HMI in a way such that you can leverage modern architecture, get it done quickly, and get it deployed quickly? Also looking at, reducing the total cost or ownership of deployments. I've already talked a little bit about central management. And you'll see this in some of our roadmap, as well as some of the things that we're working on, that we're releasing this week, is really around, again, deployment and development and deployment of these systems. And then, ultimately, it's about empowering the connected worker and, how you can get, again, the right information to those various roles. So with that, I'm going to just let Alec talk a little bit about iFIX and what we've been doing from a centralized management to date with the 6.5 release and moving forward as well.
Hi everyone, I hope you can hear me. This is Alec Granger. I'm product manager for iFIX, as Jimmy mentioned. Yeah, and so as we take a step back here for a second, just to remember 6.5 and how we introduced centralized management with Configuration Hub. That's the first foray into that centralized management theme. Really what we did here, we added modeling for increased productivity. It's really about looking at people like system integrators and providing a better experience all the way through as they're, looking for ways to be more efficient on development. And it also makes sure with the centralized management with Configuration Hub, ensures that you don't have any misalignment of systems and assets, right? So that's obviously a major theme for us, not just, of course, for the 2022 release, but going forward. So, talking about 2022 now, we may have 3 major themes of what we were trying to achieve here in the 2022 release. It's really around reducing time to solution. So we made some enhancements to modeling and, obviously simplified that browsing experience. Ultimately helping you guys get to market faster with the capabilities that you're trying to build into your systems. We're talking about reduced total cost of ownership. So we're helping we have had a lot of requests for this. So thinking about how do we enable you as a customer to think more strategically about how you deploy your assets, whether that's everything on premise, the cloud or hybrid solutions. We want to be able to have that capability, improving scale. And as Jimmy mentioned, empowering the connected worker was also a big thing, making sure that people in the different various roles that they get the right level of information at the right time to make the right decision. So really, that's kind of how that breakdown is there. And we'll talk a little bit more about how that was all done in the next coming slides. But yeah, first, I wanted to talk about the Prophecy installer. This is a big thing for us. We took a Kaizen and how we do that within our company. And we spent a long time and re-engineered from the ground up the process of installing and updating your systems. This has been a, you know, I guess you could say a stumbling block sometimes when it comes to, you know, why some customers don't move to the newest, you know, versions, right? And so we want to make sure we're removing roadblocks for you guys to be successful. So, you know, and I've actually verified this myself. As you can see on the right-hand side, this is an integrated install experience. So with clicking one button, clicking start, it's going to install, and I've actually done this myself, as I mentioned, you know, iFIX, IGS server. It's going to install productivity tools, which I just realized I don't have a slide on this in this deck, but that's okay. Productivity tools, I'll talk about that. And historian collectors and a historian server will all be, you know, installed here within that one button click there for start. It does it all. I did it on my own laptop here, and that took 12 minutes. So, you know, versus I've heard reports of, you know, 1 to 3 hours sometimes being on the generous side of how long it takes to upgrade things. So, you know, we want to make sure that you guys are positioned well to take advantage of all the capabilities that we are building into our software. As Jimmy mentioned, you know, we're thinking holistically around how we bring a full suite of solution and tools to you guys, again, to be most successful as possible in your market spheres. So that's really the Prophecy installer. So jumping into modeling and everything we did within Configuration Hub. As I mentioned, you know, 6.5, it's really the beginning of it. You know, we're continuing that journey from that. So we added browsing and scalability and support here for that, expression support. We have now integration with Prophecy Authentication, which we'll talk about that in the next slide. But you know, really want to make sure that it's easier to use this model inside Workspace. In 6.0, we added long tag names for scale. In 6.1, we added import-export product time improvements. And now with the 2022 release, we doubled from 32,000 tags to 64,000 tags per specific data type. So really just allowing for that greater flexibility, scalability within our solution from a configuration management perspective. So yeah, now looking at Prophecy Authentication, you know, this is a big deal for us. As the name implies, it's really an authentication methodology that stretches across our Prophecy portfolio of products. Right now, it's really in Historian Operations Hub, which were the first ones there. Now we've integrated it into iFIX, and it's coming for simplicity and all the other areas that we have within our portfolio. But it's really around making things easier for you guys to provide a unified experience as you're trying to use various parts of our portfolio. We want to add multi-factor authentication, reduce the number of times you've got to input passwords when you're trying to just use different parts of the portfolio, different tools to be successful in your market sphere. Another thing that's really great about this is we added nested AD groups so it can support user hierarchies that you create in Active Directories, right? So as you're looking at who gets access to what and who has the ability to do what, we want to make sure that that's obviously supported with our Prophecy Authentication methodology. So next, I want to talk to you about one of the major things that is really great about iFIX is really our historian. Where you have a lot of you know, competitive solutions out there in the market, it's really a completely disparate system. With historian collectors being one completely embedded within iFIX, it provides a much smoother connection, if you will, to our historian collector. Also, the way that historian works, it works a lot better than typical relational databases that you see out in the market. You can see it's much more efficient on disk, 33 times more efficient than inductive, for instance. And, you know, of course, with that improved integration with the Configuration Hub, being able to reach down into historian, you can configure it, you can deploy it, you can do the same thing for your iFIX, as well as Operations Hub, being able to be configured all within one area, one web-based administration tool, if you will. a Prophecy installer, being able to install all of those components at the same time, and of course, Prophecy authentications we just talked about, stretching across the whole suite there. You really, with this, also we wanted to point out that we made a significant improvement in our collector throughput. So we added multi-thread support, which, as you can see, there was a 50% increase in the capability of our iFIX collector. So next, I want to talk to you about, just kind of like the high level of what Historian brings to the table. So you have, of course, best-in-class management. I mean, mentioned that as you are scaling up and looking at that large number of tags, large number of information that can be, handled again with our solution. We have that, a much more modernized administration capability, of course, with the configuration hub, the security basis there with Prophecy authentication, all those capabilities. It's really around those three main themes that you mentioned: enhanced system management and connectivity. And when we're looking at helping you guys extract the value out of your data, enhance that capability, we're looking at things like Python and leveraging some of the technologies available in the industry to allow you to be, again, more flexible with how you use your Historian. Ultimately, the idea is performance enhancements across the board. So now looking at Prophecy Operations Hub for 2022, with this release, it's more focused on high-level visualization. It's really complementary visualization to iClient. But the goal over time with our Operations Hub is to make this a full, robust HMI builder, really the face of the new HMI for GE Digital. So the value of this recent release really is around historical analysis, high-level HMI dashboards, for people outside of the control network. So like, say, non-app operators, plant managers, those kind of things like that. So that they can, do a remote central operations kind of approach to how they visualize the information going on within the architecture, full architecture. Now, really focusing on allowing them to do key decision-making capability, OT business intelligence, data boards, and then accessibility systems and control network, mimic displays, that kind of stuff. We also have, coming with our mid-year release, we are talking about how we allow these non-plant floor operators to be able to get down to the plant floor if need be to really see what's going on there. And we'll talk about that there on the next slide when we talk about how we are positioning you guys for success when we're talking about cloud. And no problem. So yeah, when we're talking about this cloud, it's something that's been asked to us by quite a few customers, is how are we supporting cloud infrastructures? So we're announcing with the 2022 release with our Prophecy portfolio, Azure and AWS support. And that's, again, allowing you guys to be flexible in how you deploy your assets. It's a possibility of reducing some of the costs from a hardware perspective as you look and think flexibly about, maybe some non-critical systems. You can deploy virtual machines in the cloud. So you can deploy that for Historian or iFIX, something that's non-critical. You can keep your critical applications there, right there on-premise. And of course, you can do some kind of hybrid methodology as you're just thinking about the topology of your architecture. And I mentioned a little bit about remote operating in. One of the things that we did with Operations Hub that's coming here with the mid-year release is we're going to allow for, web space integration for, for really allowing that remote visualization of iClient.
Yeah, I was just going to add on that is what Alex is referring to there is, we're getting a lot of customers where they're looking to centralize operations from having, several control rooms to trying to consolidate to a central control room. And the concept of being able to leverage your existing display, so you can still create those high-level overviews in the control center, but leverage your existing displays with web space or through the Operations Hub HMI cards, and really create that central view if you do have multiple sites, or you're trying to aggregate systems that are even on at a single site into a single entry point or view.
Yeah, great point. So, when we're
Yeah.
looking at this, this is really look as you look at that. Okay, well, talking about our multi-year plan here of what we're trying to do. The four major strategic themes have not changed. It's really around reducing the time to solution. It's going to continue to be a major focus for us. Is how do we help you guys deploy your assets faster? How do we get you to market faster to take advantage of any new capabilities that you guys are introducing into your market spheres? Reducing that total cost of ownership. That's talking about that central management theme. That's really how we're approaching that. Enabling the IoT HMI, so Operations Hub, allowing for all the capabilities that you need to be successful, and then of course empowering the connected workers. So as we look at things, all the way across, we're looking at scripting methodologies. Visual Basic is pretty standard, of course, but Python is a big thing these days. So as you guys are looking to bring new talent into your organizations to be successful and position yourselves well for the future, we need to add that kind of support across our portfolio so that the people who are coming in can take advantage of their capabilities as well too, to empower your organization. So when we're looking at that, we're looking at things like how do we allow for proper scalability of your solutions as you're looking to bring new assets online or expand. Making that as easy as possible. As far as reducing total cost of ownership, things like the web integration with support for that, for deploying assets there in the cloud, those kind of things like that, and how we position again you guys to be successful with all the capabilities that are coming outside of our sphere, right? So that's really the major four areas there.
Yeah, and one thing I'll just sort of add to, just as Alec talked about some of the future things, and we talked a little bit about, we are kind of continuing to enhance our Operations Hub so that it can be a full HMI client. We do have that initiative on the go, and we will be looking for, I'll call them early adopters or partners to help us make sure we get that right. So looking for what we're calling innovation partners as well. So if that's if you're interested, and eventually around mid-year being able to get an early version of it and that type of thing, please reach out to the GrayMatter team, and we'll look at how we can make that happen for you as well.
Absolutely.
Hopefully, it can be a mutually beneficial process, because ultimately we want the feedback to make sure that we're really providing the right tools for that experience. So with that, hopefully that summary was helpful. I know that Greg, I think you have some, you will be demonstrating some of that capability later in the meeting. So I think that'll be another, just another view of the new capabilities in iFIX.
Yeah, we have just a couple of questions actually, Alec and Jimmy, and thanks for that presentation. I'll go with the first one here. So does Prophecy Authentication work only for configuration hubs? And is iFIX security still in place for iFIX applications?
So iFIX security still does work, and no, Prophecy Authentication, it works across our portfolio, and will continue to be more prolific as we bring in even the mid-year and even the 2023 releases. We're really, again, trying to position Prophecy Authentication, just like the namesake, to be for prophecy. So as you guys are looking about what tools you implement and bring into, how you bring your solutions to market, we want to make sure we're positioning you well, so that again you can take advantage of things like the multi-factor authentication and again that single sign-on across the portfolio.
Yeah, I think those are the two key things, right? It's if you're integrating into your domain, or you need the multi-factor authentication, or just some of the other security standards. The concept is we'll be adding that capability is with Prophecy Authentication, and then by leveraging that, iFIX can leverage it, and then it'll provide that single sign-on across our portfolio as well.
Okay, thanks for that question. Another question we got, and Jimmy or Alec, you can take this one on. Any plans to add a complete alarm history tool that is ready to go i.e. doesn't have to be built up. And same question for a trend tool.
Yeah, Jimmy, I don't know if you had. I'm trying.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think somebody was speaking. I'm still having some technical issues, I think. So.
Oh yeah. So Jimmy, if you can hear me, the
question was Jeremy, but
okay.
Yeah, the question was around whether we're adding a complete and not, you don't have to, right? I think if you said right, Jeremy, is complete and you don't have to set it up. The alarm tool.
That's right.
Tool. Oh, is this the one in the chat around alarm history?
Alarm history. Okay, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just put it in there for you to read.
So I'm just I'm reading. I'm seeing a question here about plans to complete the alarm history tool.
Right.
And then the trend tool. So, as part of what Alec talked about, if you notice, there's, as we're starting to build out our operations hub as an HMI, a lot of those tools are being revamped. In fact, I mean, you'll see all the new trending tools that are available within Operations Hub. We are, as part of that initiative, building out some of these new tools, including the trend, alarm history, alarm viewers, that type of thing. I suspect the question is if we would be doing that for iClients as well. Right now, I don't believe we have anything in the roadmap there, Alec, but
I don't think so,
if there's something specific, we can certainly look at that. I do agree our alarm history tool is probably needs a little bit of a refresh. So I know we have it on our list, and it's definitely part of our new HMI strategy as well. So hopefully that helps.
Okay. And we'll do one more here in the chat. It says we are interested in single authentication with card reader RFI. Any thoughts on this development?
Yeah, did you see that one, Jimmy? Single authentication with card reader RFI. So any thoughts on that?
Sorry, I didn't see it. Yeah, I apologize again, guys. I'm having some weird technical issues, but I mean, that's the idea behind the authentication piece is, so prophecy authentication, the concept with that is that if you use that as your user management, your single sign-on, it has the ability to integrate with these other multi-factor authentication systems. I mean, some of it will depend obviously on the vendors and things like that, but that is something you can do with that tool that we've released today.
Yeah.
So integrated into the, to leverage those tools, and then when somebody goes to log into iFIX, it would go through that authentication method, leveraging however you've configured it to use those multi-factor tools.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, thanks for those questions, and Jimmy and Alec, thanks for the presentation. I appreciate it. There's a lot of good information.
Excellent. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. All right. I want to bring in Tim Ogden next. Tim, if you want to flip on your camera and your microphone, I'll bring up your slides and we'll get rolling here. You want to unmute your? There you go, Tim. Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
All right, Tim, go ahead.
All right, thanks everybody. So, first I want to thank GrayMatter for hosting this event, and for you guys for taking the time to join us. For those that I haven't met in email or directly, I joined GE back in October, and the goal of coming on board is really to expand the focus of the SI community, and really start to develop a new SP program infrastructure for GE. So I'm not new to the industry, so I've got about 30 years in manufacturing, worked at various companies out in the market. And so today my goal is really just to give you a little bit of a sneak preview at the framework that we're working on for our next generation program. And then the intent is really to follow up with more of a program launch down the road, and then we'll come back at you with a little more information. So, excuse me, recovering from a cold, so I apologize. So there's several new program changes in 2022, and you'll start to see more communications starting in February. So we'll touch on a few things here, but again, we'll start to do more of a formal launch in the February and beyond timeframe. As we heard from Jimmy and Alex, we've got a lot of new internal developments going on at GE, and we've all seen a lot of new industry trends out there. So, the COVID's introduced new business challenges. We've seen increased customer activity around circularity, sustainability, and all kinds of different changes across the industry. So with that said, one of our goals is really to try to figure out how we leverage that. And one common theme across all those trends is really data and transformation of that data into actionable information. So as we move forward, we'll talk a little bit about that. And then the last thing is really GE, really, they invested a record amount of time and resources into the Prophecy platform in 2021 in preparation for our 2022 launch. So you're going to see a lot of information around the coordinated product release. And our goal is really to start to pull that SI community forward to keep them up to date on the portfolio changes. And really, we'll be introducing, new things to our knowledge network, like WebEx events, expansion of online e-learning, instructor-led SI programs, and things like that. So you will hopefully see us stepping things up with that SI community a little bit. So, why are SIs critical to GE's ecosystem? So if I were to talk about three things that are important to us, is number one, it's the strong relationship. So our SIs really understand what those customer drivers are. So, those are the opportunities that are focused around capacity issues, quality, profitability, and risk. And, secondly, we depend on our SIs to implement our products into those customer solutions. And so you're that trusted advisor to our mutual customers. If we talk about, that trusted advisor, really it's your role to decode the product and information that you get in and the industry trends and things like that, and find creative ways to apply that to that customer manufacturing need. So it's a lot of stuff going on out there. And really, how do you whittle that down into something that's actionable? And then the last part is, the SI community to us, you guys are our technology leadership innovators. So SIs, by their very nature, they use technology and innovation, to come up with creative ways to find and solve complex problems. And so you're very instrumental as we come out with new products, new features, helping us get those introduced into customer organizations and driving out those best practices. So what do the enhancements look like? What's the road ahead? So in essence, what we're doing is we're taking what was more of a transactional focused program where we have a spec on GE, a customer wants something put in, and then we locate that SI, we get them the tools, and off they go. What we want to do is migrate that more into a relationship-driven program that really integrates our SIs into our entire ecosystem. And that includes, our reps, our GE Digital employees, our business units, and things like that. And the three things that we're going to be doing to drive that forward are, number one, just the foundation enhancement. And so what that is really enhancing some of our infrastructure, whether it's our Salesforce.com systems, our SI locators, and our community portals to get you access to information, and also integrating in training and competency systems. So behind the scenes, we're working on that. The second thing is the program expansion itself. And so there's significant demand in the market around digital transformation and a lot of energy going on. So we want to make sure that we're expanding that program to focus on it. So we want to launch that new infrastructure that focuses on the relationships, the products, the technology, and engages as well. So when we talk about those foundational enhancements, so one of the things we want to focus on is our SP community portal. So if you have not or do not know what that is, that's a portal by which SPs can log in and gain access to all kinds of different sales, marketing, and product information. It's driven by a seismic engine behind the scenes. And we have over 800 pieces of content that you guys can leverage, right? So things from industry trends, presentations, brochures, case studies, customer references, videos that you can use to learn about new industries, new markets, new products, and also for your sales and marketing campaigns. When we talk about our SI locator, so we plan on making some enhancements to that as well. So, we wanted to update that and expand it so that, number one, we can focus on the new tech segments, right? So we'll have 2 new segments, and that will focus on automation, historian, and analytics, and then also MES. The second thing is we're going to really start to integrate our competency systems in. So we want to make it known to our customers that are searching for our SIs, hey, which ones have been trained, how many people do they have on staff that are certified. And then we also want to put that layer in for the partner level selection as well, so that they know who has the capabilities, who's closely aligned with GE. And keep in mind that we probably get over 10,000 inbound leads, that are generated that come to our website each and every year based on our marketing campaigns. And of those, about 2,000 of them actually visit those partner pages. So one thing that you want to keep in mind is, as we move forward, this is really what's going to expose you to people that come to our website looking for a service provider. So moving ahead, as I mentioned, and this is just a small sneak peek into what's going to be coming, but really our new program is going to have a 3-tier structure. So we're going to expand from what we have today, which is more just that level 1. And we're going to be evolving that into 2 additional levels. One's going to be a gold level, one's platinum. And really those 3 different levels are going to be focused on the relationship, projects and engagement, competency and knowledge, and then just the projects that are impacted and the sales impact that we have. So, a lot of systems integrators out there like to remain neutral. And so they'll apply whatever spec is driven down by the customer or the consultant, and that's fine. We have another level of solution providers that really, they prefer to use GE as a vendor. They have people trained, people certified, and we proactively work with them to do business planning. And so that's going to be more of the gold level. And then, we have that platinum level, which is really, they leverage GE as their primary vendor. They have an extensive skill set. They have extensive number of folks that are trained and certified on our entire portfolio. And so we want to make sure that we have the different levels based on the type of relationship that you want to have with GE. And then also they're going to be focused on the technology segments as well. So we'll be segmenting into those that have more MES and enterprise skill sets and focus, and then also automation, which includes SCADA, historian, and some of the analytics. So if we talk a little bit about, just skipped the wrong direction. What the deliverables are going to be is really around, products and architecture, competency and knowledge, business development, and technical support. So in essence, what we're trying to do is really ensure that we're building out incentives, resources, and tools that focus on what's important to the systems integrator. So things like, reliability and sustainability are important to an SI because they have to be able to produce repeatable systems that are consistent to their customers. We're all in the business to make money, so we have to make sure that we don't see project overruns, so we're remaining profitable as SIs, and then also reducing risk at every corner that we can. And then a big one, which is going to be really more on the business expansion and how do you differentiate yourself from your competitors. And so the whole idea is that the 4 key areas are going to focus on key areas that impact that SI relationship and improve that overall experience. And then if we talk a little bit about engagement expansion. So as I said before, it was more transactional focus. We get you the tools, we work with you where we can, but what we want to start to do is expand that relationship a bit for those that want to work with us. So that's going to involve annual success planning and co-manage objectives. So as an example, if you're a control systems integrator and you want to learn more about digital transformation, get up to speed on, Historian or some of the analytics products and start to figure out how to introduce those to your customers, we want to work with you on the competency development plans and success planning and co-manage objectives so that we can walk you down that path. The second part of the engagement is GE is going to be changing the way we work with a lot of the leads that we get in and the customer opportunities. So first and foremost, our goal is to make sure that you have a representative assigned to each and every one of you. So for all you that's on this call today, that would be GrayMatter Solutions. Secondly, we're looking at doing a key player assignment. And so what that means in GE vernacular is that every opportunity that we put in our system, we're going to begin to identify who is the partner that's going to do the implementation for that. And then if that customer does not have that partner, we're going to be looking to our solution providers to fill that void. We also want to start to do a better job of really understanding where SIs are impacting both direct and influence, which means the projects that they deploy. And then based on that information, we're going to be introducing some new incentive programs that really reward the SI community for, achieving competency, for hitting sales targets and competitive conversions and the like. So stay tuned for more on that. But in essence, it's really how do we take and align the breadth of portfolio in our expansive customer base with our breadth of experience, i.e. the solution provider, systems integrator community. So you're going to see us work a little bit harder at really trying to become a trusted advisor to you, the SP. So we want to understand more about your business. We want to know what you're focusing on in the future, and we want to be a part of the strategy discussions and help you execute and get more business. We talked a little bit about what you're going to see from GE, and if I narrowed that down, really, you'll start to see a lot more activity in our campaigning, in our efforts for training and competency around really 4 key areas. So circularity and sustainability here on the left, those are the industry drivers that are impacting all manufacturers that we're seeing at our customers today. So a lot of the products that we're designing are going to be focused on solving those problems. When you look at our solutions, they're really going to focus in smart manufacturing and lean. So improving the manufacturers and how they operate through execution of solutions and best practices. And then really that enterprise-wide operation. So that's that transformation of the data, embracing that information, getting more visibility and making it actionable. And then also the connected worker. So that's the right information to the right person at the right time. So whether that's mobile, tablet, web, or on plant floor. You'll hear more about that digital transformation. So some of the competency focus areas, you'll start to see more activity around historian. So, whether that's on-premise, cloud, or a hybrid solution, how do we need to structure that? What are the customer needs around that? And then that real-time and historical visibility, right? So that single version of the truth. How do you take and combine, visibility with mobile, asset model context, start to look at, alarms, visualization, and actually start tapping into enterprise information as well in one single location. To make data actionable, we really have to look at some of the tools like cSense and the analytics products to really take that data and really help customers understand what the impact of it is. So you'll see a lot more around e-learning, certification, WebExes, and success stories that include these types of things. And with that, I'll just kind of wrap up with, as an SI, a lot of your time is really spent engineering and designing solutions for your customer. So, to learn more about the new program that we're rolling out, make sure you engage your rep. So GrayMatter, your salesperson can actually help you once we launch that program. The second item I really want to focus on is really, if you don't have a good digital transformation strategy and you want to focus on building out that practice and learning more, your rep can actually help you put a program together on how to get there. And then the third item is, we've come out with a lot of new programs, a lot of new products. And so as we look into 2022, also work and engage your rep to really lay out a competency roadmap to get your engineers up to speed to be able to serve the new business that's around the corner. And with that, Jeremy, back to you.
Tim, thank you so much for going over all of that. Just to reserve a little time for Q&A at the end. If you have questions for Tim, we can get them at the end here, but I want to bring in Greg Hazel next. Tim, thanks again. Really appreciate it. Hey, Greg, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir. How are we doing?
Doing well. Good to see you.
Yeah, good to be here. All right, you should see my screen.
Looks good.
Okay, fantastic. So what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to get into the technical side of the iFIX 2022 release. So get into the details, and I'm going to focus on the productivity, meaning the configurations hub, the ability to build a project much quicker than we had in the past. And this allows us to integrate iFIX into automation controllers like we've never been able to do before, and also incorporate the concept of modeling. So those are the types of things we're going to do. And with inside of this presentation, we've also talked about other enhancements about the installer. The installer is now 15 minutes, not 3 hours. We have new prophecy authentication, which integrates our authentication across our portfolio and into your domain. So with that said, in the iFIX environment, I have iFIX 2022 up here. And I'm going to start off by just showing you one of the popular applications that our users typically deploy, and that is the Industrial Gateway Server. And I'm showing you this because I'm showing you the configuration that I have. This is the driver that I have, and I'm going to use the simple simulation protocol that's available in the driver and show you how you can quickly build an iFIX tag database just from the IGS configuration. And then secondly, I'll spin back and I'll show you how to do the same thing, but we'll use the concept of modeling behind that. Where in this particular project, I have a plant, and within my plant, I have remotes, RTUs, and within my RTUs, I have instances of my RTUs. So I have 3 instances, 1, 2, 3. And within those instances, you'll see that I have process variables that my RTU might have in them. Here I have a simple example with 3 process variables. I know if you have a controller out there, or even in this example, an RTU, it may have hundreds or even thousands of process variables associated with it. So that's the connection into your controller environment. What I'm going to show you here is how do we integrate that into the iFIX environment, and how do we configure iFIX using this structure that we have in the IGS. So to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is under Applications, we have a new icon over here called Configuration Hub. And as you hit that, you notice it's launching a version of Chrome. So it is 100% web-based. And I'm going to sign into my Chrome. And this is the Configuration Hub environment that you see on the screen. 2 things going on. I have Prophecy Authentication up top, and then down below I have iFIX. In this presentation, we'll concentrate on iFIX. Within iFIX, I have 3 selections in the navigation: connections, modeling, and the database. Okay, so first of all, I'll start off with just simple tag configuration. Hey, I got a couple new points in my controller. I would like to use those in the iFIX environment. How would I do that? I would do that by hitting the connections. And this brings up and it's interrogating the IGS configuration for me. So now it's giving me a list of everything in the Industrial Gateway server. This will also work with OPC UA. So if you have an OPC UA device, works the same way. I'm going to just go in and grab a couple tags out of the driver. And as you can see, I'm drilling into my simulator tags, and I'll do a simple browse. And this will give me a list of all the tags in the IGS driver. And this is just a flat tag structure here for this first example. And I'll simply select 2 random tags here, and it goes into something called a staging. And what the staging allows you to do is it allows you to format your tag names. So you can go with the format that the IGS already has. Maybe you have a elaborate structure that you built in the symbolic controllers that we have, or maybe you don't. Maybe it's kind of messy. So here's a chance to clean that up, where I could trim the tag name down, and maybe I just want the tag names to be random. Or I can add a prefix to it. So I can just put a prefix on it. You can put your tag name or your site name, whatever, associated with it, and it will build out that structure for you. So it's building out a tag name structure for you. You can also select here the type. So if I want to make this one a different type of tag, maybe an analog alarm tag or a discrete tag, you can do that as well. You can choose to historize the tag, so it automatically house it to the historian, and so on. So you can do all that through this Configuration Hub environment. I can do this online without using the database manager that we used in the past. Once I'm satisfied with the configuration for my tag names, down here at the bottom right is a create tags selection. And I'll just do that, and you'll see up top it says 2 tags were created successfully. So we're good to go. With this simple example, I'm going to now go to my database navigation, and you'll see it brings up another tab. And there you'll see it has the 2 tags that I just created. 2 simple tags. Hey, I didn't have to type in an IO address. I didn't have to look at my IGS driver. I could all do this, click and drag. You notice here a couple new icons, unpublished, and the ones that are checked are called published. So this allows me to build the iFIX database really offline, something that we really didn't do in the past. So I can build this configuration offline, and when I'm done with it, I can publish that. So let's go ahead and you have a couple features here. You can save your selection here. You can use this icon here to publish your tags. So here's my traditional database manager that we've used in the past. And that still works, frankly. You can still use that if you'd like. But in addition, we have this configuration hub environment. I'm going to go then and publish that. And it will bring up this publish window. Do I want to publish the database? Do I want to stop the SAC process? So that's our scan alarm process. That means it's going to stop the database temporarily. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to publish live and not bump my system. So I'm going to uncheck that and just say publish. And that will go through the publishing process of taking my tag configuration and moving it from this web environment into the running system without affecting the status of the iFIX database. So there you go. You'll see they're now checked. If I wanted to filter through here and type in my random, you'll see it will sort, and there's my published tags right there. If I looked at my database manager, you'll see I now have my 2 tags created in that environment. So that's, you know, 2 simple tags in there. It beats typing in a bunch of tag names and attributes. It beats discovering what the IO address is, particularly with the symbolic controllers where you have really long addresses. And let's face it, you probably put a lot of time in the structure when you built your PLC program. So we want to leverage that structure. So moving on, I'm going to go back to this environment and close down some of this stuff. And we're going to go back to our connections. And this time I'm going to build a model or a structure using the same structure we used in the industrial gateway server. And the way we do that is I'm going to drill down into my plant. And as you remember, in my plant, I have RTUs. And I'm going to browse into the RTU. So it's drilling into that group of tags or that device and it's showing that in the configuration hub environment. I can now select, I want to create a hierarchy and use that same hierarchy that I've already built in the controller, and I want to use that in iFIX. So I'm going to select this RTU1, and the concept here is I'm going to build a template that I can reuse over and over. So the real value of this is a lot of times you'll have assets that are similar or identical to each other. I know if you have an RTU, you might have a pump station or a wellhead, and guess what? You have multiple ones. You might have several, or you might have hundreds. This will allow you to leverage that model over that whole set of assets. So I selected my RTU1, and by right-clicking, if you have a bunch of process variables under that, you can simply say select children, and it will select the process variables underneath that you want. So once you have that done, instead of staging tags and building individual tags, what I'm going to do is I'm going to right-click here, and I'm going to create a type. This is an asset type, and it's going to be used for my model as we move forward. So I'm going to just say create type, and it says type 1 here, and I'm going to just make it generic. I'm just call it RTU, and maybe give it a little name here, and keep the same hierarchy in my structure, and go ahead and create that. So it's going to go and create that type for me. If there's errors or anything like that, there's a log file that's generated, and you have a nice hyperlink there to get to that log file and see what's going on. Okay, so I did my browse, I did my connection, I'm good to go like that with that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the model and see what it built for me. So it builds another tab here. I don't really need this other browse capability, so I'll collapse that down. And then in this window here, it built this type, this object type called an RTU. And in that object type, I have variables. These can be different types of variables. Typically, they're tag names. They're typically linked to a controller. And once I have that, I can create instances of that type. But before I do that, I'm going to customize this particular type. Okay, because I want to use the same type for multiple RTUs. The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to right click over here and edit my type. And that brings up another window where I'm actually modifying the structure that the IGS brought in. And I'm going to make it generic because I want to use this for many RTUs. And I want to create multiple instances using this template that I'm creating here. So you're doing a little legwork up front, but as you add a new device or a new structure, it's already built. So let's go in and modify the standard template. I'm just going to go in here and say, you know what, instead of actually putting an instance number here, we'll just put an X for a placeholder for the number. And this is just for the description. You can do whatever you want here. And you notice here on the right side is as I go into this, you'll see that it's changing the description here. And there's the IO address that came from our RTU number 1. And there's my generic. And these are my tag names that you're familiar with in the iFIX, right? It has the same different fields that you had in iFIX. So that's all it is. But I would like to do a substitution. So down here at the bottom, instead of hard coding these names in here or these addresses, I'm going to substitute these dynamically based on each instance of the RTU. So we're going to go under here. We're going to add a couple substitutions, and I'll call it my RTU number. We'll call it RTU num. And then over here under the value, I'm going to give it 1. And so this would be like your PID number. So it's your loop, 101 or loop 201, whatever you got, is what you're building up here.
Hey, Greg,
So,
a couple people had questions about tags. If you want to address these real quick, folks are asking: is there a limit to how many tags you can publish at one time without stopping SAC?
I don't have firsthand experience with that yet, since we're pretty new with release. They're telling me it's magnitudes quicker when you stop SAC. To me, probably time is not that critical in most cases. I'd say if you're developing offline, meaning I'm developing a new system, it's not running actual processes, I would probably stop SAC and get it done with. If I'm in a live system and I'm running product, you really don't want to do that. So I think you got the time to make that happen.
Gotcha. One other. So does the online publish work in enhanced failover, or do you still need to force maintenance mode first?
I'm going to defer that question. I believe it publishes on as it runs.
Okay.
But
cool.
Maybe in Q&A I can do a little research for you or come back.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, Greg.
Yeah, those are good questions. Okay, I'm going to add one more placeholder here, and this is my we're going to do my high engineering units. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my high engineering units dynamically, and we'll just have it scaled 0 to 100 right here. And kind of set that up. So I'm going to, these are substitutions that I'm using in my system. So I'm going to get a lot of value out of that. So the X placeholder, instead of typing in RTU number, that's going to be what I'm going to be replacing dynamically. They put in a nice feature here where it's going to actually look here and give me a list. So I'm going to put in the placeholder, and this is the placeholder that's going to substitute. And I can do that as simple as the description, or I can do that right here in the IO address as well. And you can have many substitutions. I just got one or two here for example. And so let's go ahead to our level tag and we'll do the same thing. And we're just going to substitute that in. And we'll do the same for our IO address for this guy right here. And so it's going to just substitute that number in here. One other thing is I have the high engineering units. And what I'm going to do on this guy is I'm going to go down to my alarm limit, and you can actually build an expression in here. So instead of putting a full substitution in here, I'm going to go into expressions, and this brings up an expression builder. So I don't have to hard code a substitution in here. I can build a logical expression using math functions or Boolean functions here within inside this. So in this particular case, I want to take my high engineering units and I want to subtract 30, and that will be my alarm limit. I check syntax to see if it likes it or not. It certainly does. Hit apply, and it put that placeholder in my alarm limit. Okay, so pretty useful thing. And then finally, I'll get to my status tag, and we'll just do modify, same thing here with the replace that X with the RTU number, and for my description, and then same thing with my IO address. Okay, so I made a template out of these guys, so you see that you can certainly go in here and modify these manually as well. I'll show you that here in a minute. And then you have your parameters right here down below, your substitution parameters, and those are all inside your iFIX tags. So we're good to go. We save that. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to our model. And you'll see that I have my RTU here. And within my model, I should be able to go back into the model itself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an instance of this model. So I did that pre-work for this thing. And as I add an instance, it's going to ask me what my instance name is. So this is going to be my RTU number 1 instance. And we'll go ahead and create that. And what that did is down here at the bottom, it created an instance of that RTU. And you'll see I have my high engineering limits, and I have my RTU number as the placeholder. And it has a placeholder associated with it. I'm then going back and creating a second instance here, and that's the value of this. To create a whole nother RTU now, all I need to do is add instance. And we're just going to call this one, guess what, RTU2, and create that instance. And now I have 2 RTUs, one RTU1, one RTU2. This guy, I'm going to change the substitution to number 2. So anywhere I had that generic placeholder, you'll see here when I look at my tag, my description now has a 2 in it. My address has a 2 in it. And so I can index or use these placeholders or use these expressions to build that out. Let's go look at our level tag, and you'll see that, you know, we have our alarm limits that were set, and it actually changed my alarm limit and calculated that value from my set limit minus 30. So I'm good to go. I created 2 RTUs here. You know, I created that instance of RTU 1 and 2, and I'm good to go. Now let's look at the database. As I said, this is all happening outside of the iFIX database. As I go into the database, you see that it now has my RTU 1 and 2 with the process variables associated with it. And then you'll also notice they are unpublished. You can go in here and look at it. It brings over your descriptions and indexes it, indexes my IO address. So everything kind of looks like it's working properly right here. Once I have this done and I'm satisfied with it, you can certainly make changes right in this environment as well. If I click in here, and I can now go over to the right side, and I can make modifications to that specific instance if I wanted to, or I can just go with the instance that I have. Okay, we're going to go ahead and publish that. And it's going through the publish routine right now. And we're good to go. And now I'm going to leverage those tags in the iFIX environment. Okay, so let's look at the, go back to the workspace environment. So now I'm in the graphic environment. I'd like to leverage those tags that I just built. I'm going to do that because the model concept in iFIX 2022 brings that into the graphic environment in addition to the database. So that's something new. To do that, we're going to go to our friends, the Dynamo set, and we'll just grab a simple tank out of here and plop that on the screen. And we're going to browse for a data source. And traditionally, we've been browsing for our tag database, right? For a long time, we've been using this database tag, and we select tags out of here. Now we have a new tag tab that allows us to pick either a type, remember my RTU type, or I could hard code an instance where I could pick my flow, my level, my status tags within that instance. The graphic I'm going to build right here is I'm going to leverage the concept of the model of the instance and pass that on into the graphic. So a lot of times you might have an RTU and you might have 10 of them, and you certainly don't want to build 10 unique graphics. You want to use one graphic and propagate the particular asset type within that particular graphic. So to do that, I'm going to pick types here. And I'm going to select my RTU type. I'm going to select my level type. And notice what it's doing here at the bottom. It's building up and automatically putting a placeholder for the particular type that I'm interested in. So it says RTU, and it's enclosed in the @signs. So say OK to that. Say OK to that, and lo and behold, we have a tank with a placeholder in it, and we'll go ahead and add a data link in here, and we might add one more data link in here, and this time I will grab the description of the tag. Remember, we indexed the description of the tag as well. So to do that, we're going to go in and select the description field of that tag, and that should be substituted as well. So this is going to create a placeholder for all those using my object type. So once I have that built, we need to be able to instantiate that instance on this particular graphic. And we do that via a simple one-line script. I'll do it by selecting I'll give it a name. When I select RTU1, it's going to go and add the process variables for RTU1. And if I select RTU2 here, it will bring in that particular instance. Okay, so now that I have the text here, we're going to go in and add one simple script. I'm going to go into animations. We'll go into commands, and I want to introduce two new commands here. There's two new commands: set symbol from model browse and set symbol from values. Model browse means the user in runtime could literally select that, and they could pick a model type, and it would then use that particular selection. Set values means I'm going to do it via code internally. So as the user selects the different screen or different button, it will add it. So remember, my type is called an RTU, and my instance is called RTU1. Okay, so pretty straightforward. And that's what it looks like in the little wizard, RTU and RTU1. And we're going to go ahead and do the same thing for RTU number 2. Animations, click event, select my set symbol values, and then put in my type and then my instance. And this is going to be RTU2. Okay. Good to go. Good to go. And let's go ahead and save this graphic. And we'll go into the run environment. As it looks right now, you can see not a lot of information coming in. If I hit RTU1, you'll see it propagates all the attributes with RTU1, my level, my description, my value, my animation. If I hit selection 2, you'll see it brings in all the attributes around the instance for RTU2. The beauty of this, if I want to add RTU3, I simply go in, add an instance, change the name, change the number to 3, and then a simple script in here. With my discrete point, works the same way. I'll show you quickly. I'll just look at one of my pumps here, and we'll tie our status tag. So this is a discrete tag, and we're going to modify the current value of that tag, and so on. So I'm doing the animation tied to this tag, and let's go ahead and we'll put a script on here so I can control this tag. I want to control the current value of that particular tag, and I want to put a push button on here. So as it goes to the 0 state, the stop state, or a running state, the start state, we're going to be able to do that with a push button. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. I want to show you what's going to happen here. As I go into RTU1, and maybe I want to make a change, I'm going to go ahead and start this. And you'll see it comes up. I have an error here. Current block mode doesn't allow writes. So I need to make a tag update to my system to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that in Configuration Hub. I'm going to go back to Configuration Hub, and I'm going to go in and select my status tag. So there's my status tag. And these are just the same iFIX fields that you're used to and been using for years. And you know that if you're trying to write to a value, you want to enable output. So I'm going to go enable output, yes. And I'm going to go and do the same thing for my second one and enable that output. Yes. And you'll see that the type now says modify. And within that modification, I'm going to save my configuration. And once that's saved, I can go and publish that to my system. So it's going ahead and publishing that. I'm going to go back into the workspace. Remember, the workspace is still running. I haven't touched the database. And let's go ahead and start that pump. And the error is down. And I'll go to RTU2, and you can start that guy as well. And so 2 RTUs, I'm able to modify the database dynamically. I'm able to create the database dynamically. I'm able to incorporate that in the graphic environment. There's one more feature I want to show, and that's around the alarm filtering. And we take that same concept of the model, and we can filter alarms based on that model as well. So let's go ahead and insert our alarm summary link like we've done in the past here. And this would display my alarm conditions as we normally do. But within that condition, I'm going to double click on there, and we're going to go under filters, and there's a new filter called model context. The model context filter is going to take the model that you're using and propagate that and filter through your alarm summary object. So if I want to know just the alarms for coming in for a certain process area, I can do that by using this guy. So I'm going to go ahead and add filter. I'm going to include children on this thing or a specific instance, and I'm going to pick my RTU. Okay, so it's all browsable. I don't need to remember this stuff. I can just apply that to it, and it's going to propagate that through my system. Go back in the run environment, and I'm going to hit RTU1, and you'll see I'm only seeing alarms from RTU1. Go ahead, acknowledge those guys right here. And then over here, I'll hit RTU2, a bunch of communication alarms from when Julie set this up. I'll acknowledge all those. And as I go through the system, it will generate new alarms. You can see I have a high alarm here. I think I get an alarm when I change the value of the pump here. So it gives you a change of state alarm. So, you know, you talk about the different alarming concepts. We had alarm areas. We can also do this by the different models as well. So yeah, you know, quickly built a structure using elements that were already built in the IGS, right? You've done that work in the controller. You're building the type using that same structure, and then you're substantiating instances of that type. Once that's done, it builds the database for you, and then you can bring that same concept into the graphics that I'm using right here. Just before I wrap up, one more thing I just want to let you know it exists. If you actually look at your model types, you can get more complex than that. There's a concept of what we call contained types. So maybe you want to take it to the next level where I might have something called a pump station. And within my pump station, I might have a type called wells. And within my pump station, I also have a type called pumps. So I got a pump A and a pump B. These are what is called contained objects. So I can build a new object and I can contain other objects within that object type. And that's not hard to build out. You just simply build out your object types, and then you build another type and you use contained objects. And if I just went in here and edited that one, I can show you real quickly that under the tab here, the first tab that you see here, these are the variables that are related to this particular object type, my pump station. But within my pump station, I have contained types. I have a well and I have two pumps associated with that. So you can really make a pretty extensive model. And this works fantastic when you have a lot of similar type of assets. So Jeremy, I did a lot of talking there. I know you
Yes, sir.
like to have a lot of questions. So give me the easy ones first.
Okay, I can do that. No problem. Okay, so Alex is wondering, can you edit two tags at once? For example, changing one from a no to a yes on both tags at the same time.
Not that I know of, but I'll try it as we speak.
Not an easy one, but maybe.
Yeah. Well,
sounded like maybe it was.
I see. Making a generic change. Okay.
We'll workshop it.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's the advanced class.
That's right.
We're going to give that a no.
Okay, there we go. Cool. Jessica is asking, can Configuration Hub be used across multiple different iFIX nodes, each with different PDB? Like, for example, what happens if you have 8 different iFIX nodes on the same system?
Yes, the navigator here would have different node names. So you're going to register the node with Configuration Hub, and then it knows that that node exists. That's something new in the iFIX 2022 release. So
Cool.
yes, you're able to manage multiple nodes through the same environment. Same with Prophecy Authentication, and this Configuration Hub environment, you're going to be able to you can also manage your historian through this interface as well.
How do you register the node with Configuration Hub? Daniel's asking.
So good question. There is a register icon right here. And so with any web-based technology, there's certificates involved and trust and authentication. I know the engineering team right now is developing a quick start guide to make that happen. And they're promising that in the next week or two, that will really go step by step how you configure this thing. It's not terribly difficult, but if you're not familiar with trusts and certificates and all that kind of stuff, it would be a new frontier with you. The quick start guide is something that they've done with iFIX 6.5. And
Looks like we lost Greg there.
That seemed like a very rapid exit.
That did. I don't know if maybe his power went out or something, but that was, yeah, that was pretty sudden there. We'll give him a second to join back in. We did have some other good questions here about Configuration Hub. I don't know, Alec, I think you're still here because you answered a question on the chat. You might be able to field some of these if you want to unmute yourself. Otherwise, we'll see if Greg can jump back in. Yeah, he zipped right out there, didn't he?
Yeah.
He had to go.
Alec, do you want to field some questions?
Your
call. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let's see here. I don't know if Jimmy's still on too as well. He probably have a little bit.
Yeah, I can ask you.
Sorry, I actually I have to apologize. I still can't hear Jeremy. So
okay.
Bizarre things going on
Weird.
with the
they're
system
just trying
today,
to
that's for sure.
see if you can field some more of the questions.
Can you hear the rest of us, Jimmy?
Yeah, that's the
Everybody-
bizarre part. I can hear everybody but Jeremy for some reason. So
Okay.
my computer doesn't like him, I guess.
One of the other questions we had is how does Configuration Hub work with redundant systems? Is there a tool or a button in Configuration Hub to manage maintenance mode, etc.?
Yeah, so that's just around Configuration Hub with redundant systems there, Jimmy. How does that work? Is there a button there to manage maintenance mode and stuff like that?
You may want to, what I would suggest maybe is just get some details on that offline.
Yeah.
If you can, Alec, just
Yeah,
check
we'll
with chat or something.
Yeah, just to figure out exactly
looks like
how
Greg's back.
Is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Greg, can you hear us?
I can. Sorry about that.
You zipped
Oh,
out
hey,
there for a
back.
second. Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Ready for some more questions, Greg?
Yeah, we'll give them a shot.
All right. Next one is, does dynamic IGS addressing work for the modeling? Once you've created the model, can you use dynamic IGS addresses for other instances of the model?
Yes, it would propagate that through the IGS driver. Because what's going to happen there is when it publishes, the iFIX database is going to request that particular IO address, and it would then tell the IGS driver that, hey, I got a new dynamic tag, and it would go grab that. So certainly you could do that.
Okay. And this is kind of related, I think, but do you have to configure all the connections in IGS before using the new web configurator?
You would have to, similar to like you do today, you would have to configure the channel and the device to make that happen.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. that covers most of our questions actually at this point. So, Greg, was there anything else you wanted to go over today? I feel like you covered a ton of information.
Yeah, just on that
Yeah.
same topic about
Yeah.
dynamic addressing. You know, a lot of times we can read in the controller configuration using the IGS driver, depending on what controller you have. But, you know, the popular Rockwell controllers and other symbolic controllers out there, that will build the structure up here for you. And the goal here is we can leverage that as well. So, you know, right, like this guy is where it automatically discovered my type and grab these things for you. So if you do have it out in your controller, you can certainly go and leverage that. Just because the variables are here in the driver, it doesn't mean that they're actually being requested by the driver. The driver is only going to request what's in the iFIX database. So even though you have a bunch of process variables in here that you might not be using, the driver's not actually going out to request that information. It's requesting whatever you have active in the iFIX database.
And Greg, if somebody's, you know, interested in taking advantage of these new features, 2022 iFIX, what's that process look like? How does that get started? And how do you get involved?
Yeah, I think this is a good start. I mean, that's why we're doing these emPOWERUPs, and that's why we're doing these deep technical dives. Over time, what you'll see is YouTube videos based on coming from GE directly and coming from GrayMatter, just like on the GrayMatter YouTube channel. So, you know, we don't want you all to figure out how to make this work. I'd rather have you watch a video. This is how I learned, and then go ahead and do it. And you can do it at your own pace. So I think that's the best way. In newer versions of the iFIX training class, we'll also incorporate these same type of features.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, Greg, thank you so much for the demo and taking on those questions. I know we had quite a few of them. We actually got one more. I think we have a little more time. Will iFIX 2022 installation ISO be different from the existing 6.5 release?
Yes, it's a completely different installer. It's a completely different application. So,
thought so. Yeah.
In the 2022, it's a unified installer, and what that means is it installs in the selection. It will install by default. If you install SCADA, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want a standalone SCADA system? Do you want a network SCADA system? Do you want a client installed? If you pick a SCADA system, it's going to install historian components, iFIX, the industrial gateway server, and configure those things to work together. And Jeremy, that's something in the past where we had 3 different installers that you did in different orders, and you had reboots in the middle of it. And, you know, just me going through this, it took a ton of time to set these things up. Today, you set and make your settings, and you say go. You come back after a cup of coffee, and it's done. Single reboot, and you're off to the races. So that it's a huge improvement as far as installation goes.
A couple more questions, Greg. Jeff was asking, are there any workarounds for IGS not supporting data highway communications in future releases?
Ouch. I guess not that I know of. I guess that might be for the engineering team. Yeah. Legacy systems are getting harder and harder to support because of really operating system changes and you know, hardware changes and whatnot. I think with the data highway, we were going through a control logics gateway. That's what we've done in the past. So the control logics was actually talking data highway. And you're able to route the control logic CIP protocol into DH+. I believe that still works.
Okay. And do we have is there an upgrade guide or checklist for upgrading from, you know, 6.x from any of those 6 versions?
That should be in the getting started guide, and usually in the help here, I'll have to check. This is a pre-release version I'm actually running right here. So my documentation isn't in here, but there is a kind of upgrade path right there under help and information in the electronic books. If not, you can reach out to us and our support will get you the procedure to do so. You know, generally speaking, if you have a pretty new release, like I got a 6.5 system, I do an install over top and it works fine. A lot of times, frankly, customers are switching operating systems, right? They got a Windows 7 box out there or Windows XP box, and they want to move that into a Server 19 environment. My recommendation there is to pick the files that you need. There's a handful of file types you need: pictures, database, driver configuration, not too many. And just manually move those into the new folder structure of iFIX 2022. And you're pretty good to go. The database is going to upgrade 100%. The graphics will update 100%. The driver configuration will move over. So, you know, it should come over, you know, pretty cleanly without a ton of work.
Great. All right, Greg. Well, thank you. Thanks again. And thanks to everybody for the questions today. I do appreciate it. I think it makes for a better discussion overall because, you know, as we found out today, everybody had similar questions. So it's super helpful to hear from everybody and hear what they're thinking about. Look out for a survey afterward. Yeah, we can definitely provide a copy of the recording, Daniel, no problem. We do record these. So we'll get that out to you in no time. And do check out graymattersystems.com/training and events. For more on our upcoming GE training classes, which I know Greg gets involved in, and also our next couple of emPOWERUPs. Next one is cyber focused on Log4j. It's on February 23rd. So do be looking out for that one. So Alan and Jimmy and Alec and Greg, thanks so much for being here. Alan, do appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely appreciate everybody. We've had a big group stay the whole length, so shows there's a lot of interest, and we appreciate everybody. We'll see you back in a few weeks.
Yeah, thanks for being here. Thanks
everybody.
everybody. Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Greg.
Thank
Jimmy.
you.
All right, take care.
Take care.
Bye-bye.